Hello, you wonderful people. It is us from Simply Scuba, and it is officially Christmas week. So we're starting to wind things down as people kind of chillax, because Friday is Christmas. Today's episode of Daily Deco is sponsored by our very own Teespring Store, but more about them later. Today's show is very, very sharky, which is why I'm wearing Cave Shark t-shirt. I was looking through the news and sort of finding some interesting stories, and I found a rather similar theme running through all of them, except the first one, unfortunately, which kind of blows that idea out of the water. But whatever.
No.
The first
in Richmond, there's sharks there. There must be a shark in
Richmond.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, okay. So the first news story is that Shearwater, the dive computer manufacturer in Canada, they are moving today, but they're literally moving like down the street. Basically, they outgrew sort of where they were.
Lovely.
They're moving to a new 33,000 square foot facility just down the road from their previous home in Richmond, British Columbia.
Nice.
Basically, if you're shipping anything, or if you want to pay them a visit, that they live in a new address. You can visit them.
Cool.
That was the first news story, but there wasn't too much to it. So the rest is all sharky. So the next. I rewatched Sharky and George like a year or so ago, and it's quite painful to watch.
Yeah. I think I did that
the
about
scenes
a year ago as well.
Oh, the scenes are like 5 seconds long, and then it's just a sharp cut to some other scene, and you're like, oh, okay, let's follow this story.
Well, I did that
with
was it XMen, the animated series from the 90s? I was like, let's watch this because it's back on Disney Plus. I was like, wicked, I'm gonna watch this. Within the first episode, I swear, I had about 20 fits. And I'm like, Jesus, why did my parents let me watch this?
Yeah, it is hard. Oh, you had to be tough in the 90s to watch cartoons.
Yeah.
Anyway. Our first news story, our first sharky news story is this article, which is all about sort of divers who have kind of created a mobile shark cage so that you can kind of swim amongst like great white sharks but still be protected because of the teeth. It is quite interesting. Instead of just being like lowered off the side of the boat and kind of that's it, the sharks kind of have to come to you. This one, you can actually go to them and kind of see them out in sort of the open blue. So this is a 2-man cage, and they stress that quite a lot, that it's a cage. It's not a submarine or a submersible. I suppose technically it is a submersible, but it's not like a contained submarine, because you are still you're still scuba diving, and you are still sort of controlling your buoyancy. So they say it's got sort of thrusters, and it says it's even got an afterburner or something, 2 afterburners. But once you're actually in the water, it's kind of you have a tank that's fitted to the cage, the frame itself, and then that just connects to your full face mask so you can communicate. So one of you is like the pilot, and then the other one is like a cameraman or the person actually experiencing it. But you kind of still have to use like your BCD to control the whole thing's buoyancy. So they're saying it's not for beginners, but it is an amazing sort of thrill ride to sort of get into the water. And they say, they sit at around sort of 30 feet, and they stay there for around sort of 45 minutes. You get your choice of sort of air, nitrox, or even trimix if you wanted to. You just kind of buzz around, cruising around some sharks, seeing some different angles, and getting some amazing photos. The front end is, I presume, sort of where you get in and out of, because there is a fairly large open section between the bars, which I presume a shark couldn't. Well, a small shark probably could, but a really big shark probably couldn't. But yeah, if you want to kind of stick your head out and stick your camera out for a really unobstructed sort of view to get a sort of amazing shot, then yeah, go for it. Yeah, I just thought this was cool, and I've heard stories of certain areas where you can go sort of shark diving. But the thing is that you kind of jump in and then you free swim as quickly as you can down to like this kelp forest. And then you kind of swim through the kelp forest until it reaches like a cliff edge. And then you can see all the sort of the great whites just kind of doing their thing. And then you're kind of like looking through this like kelp. And then when you start to get low on gas, you kind of plan it. You kind of look up, you see your boat, and you make sure that you do your decode like as close to the sort of the top of the kelp forest as you can, and then you just hecking go for it. But yeah, maybe a 1,000 pound self-propelled cage with 4 thrusters, 6 propellers, and 2 afterburners is maybe the way to go.
I would love to be the pilot of that, because I would just be like talking to oh, Mark's in there. I'm gonna get him a bit close to that shark. No.
Yeah.
Let's see if the shark's head does fit in that opening. Stop it, Shaun.
It also means that they don't have to sort of lure the sharks as much.
That's true.
Because usually with a cage, just a metal cage isn't really that interesting for a shark.
No.
So to actually get them to come close, they sort of chum the waters or put some kind of bait and then draw it towards the cage. Another thing is...
Do you know what they use now, Mark? They don't use chum, they use dreamies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, underwater. Big tub of dreamies.
No, sharks like heavy metal.
Oh, do they?
They've they've done it where they've put sort of underwater speakers and they put different music under the water, and then someone like switched on some like Metallica or something, and it just all these sharks just because they like that sort of
That makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah, when I think of sharks and heavy metal, they kind of go together.
I think because it sounds like something is struggling in the water, so it just kind of attracts them.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. Cool, man.
Yes. Next news story covers basically they've been studying shark fishing bans to see how effective they are, and they were sort of studying in sort of Southeast Asia, obviously, because there's a huge shark trade there. And they were basically sort of working out, basically the efficacy of these sort of shark catches, particularly on sort of thresher sharks and whatnot. So they were sort of asking local fishermen, and they're sort of doing all their testing, and they found that it particularly affected the fishermen who were specialised in catching thresher sharks when they brought in these kind of bans. So obviously it's going to affect them. But also the other fishermen who also used to catch them, but it was bycatch, it was an accident, but hey, they still made a little bit of money on it. They were sort of asking them how it sort of affected them. And what they found is kind of a mixture of, well, I still catch them, but by the time that I kind of cut their fins off and kind of mix it in with the rest of the catch, it doesn't really tend to get found, so I don't tend to declare it. So there was some of that. And they're saying how, a lot of the bycatch is sort of widely unrecorded because of sort of mistrust and confusion. So they kind of catch the shark and they go, oh crap, and they just kind of throw it in, but don't even report it because they feel that they might get fined, even though it is a legitimate accident. It wasn't what they were there for. They're just saying how sort of easy it was to sort of conceal threshers as other shark sort of species, because by the time you sort of cut the fins off, it's hard to sort of determine them.
Oh wow!
But the study did sort of go on to say that for sort of future bans, because they were looking at sort of how it's sort of disproportionately affected different fishermen, and the ones that were specifically sort of tailored just to catch them, obviously they're sort of facing hard times, which means they have to go on to other things, or go onto the black market, because that's what inevitably happens when you make something illegal. You just kind of push it into the shadows. So they're saying that, well, before just blanket sort of bans, we need to sort of work with the fishermen to sort of make their practices less likely to sort of catch bycatch. So they're saying how if you put these kind of lines in the water, you check on them more frequently. So even if they do catch a shark accidentally, there's a higher chance, if you're checking it more frequently, there's a higher chance that you'll find the shark and then you can release it and it's still alive, instead of it being sort of trapped there for a few hours and then it drowns. So yeah, it is an interesting. It's worth a read, but yeah, it's basically trying to think on how we can more effectively prevent the sort of the shark trade and the shark sort of fishing and bycatch, instead of just a blanket. Right, everyone, no catchy these sharks, bad thing, because that isn't particularly effective. Yeah, it was an interesting read. It's definitely worth sort of looking on. And actually, our next news story is a bit more sort of refreshing. But first, we have to talk about our very own Teespring Store. Just to cheer things up a little bit. So yeah, if you're looking for some scuba diving merchandise, you can head over to our Teespring Store. Right now I'm wearing Cave Shark, which is always a funky design. And right now you can get 15% off of all of our merchandise up until December 31st. So head over to our Teespring Store, pick the t-shirt or hoodie or mug or pair of socks or whatever it is that you fancy, pick your size and your color, and then when you get to the basket stage and it asks you if you have any promo codes, you can laugh at it and say, yes, of course I have a promo code, and then you type in Daily Deco, all one word, no spaces, and that will get you 15% off of your order. I don't think orders are going to be sort of by you for Christmas time, because everyone's starting to sort of shut down. So you're cutting it a little too close. But yeah, after Christmas, sort of in the new year, you'll start to sort of receive your stuff. So yeah, Daily Deco will get you money off of your order. So yeah, when we were talking about sort of shark bans and banning shark fins and sort of catching sharks, now, obviously, there's a lot of stories about, so obviously there's this huge trade in sort of sharks and shark's fins in Southeast Asia, because they love it in their soup for whatever reasons. But you also get like international sort of trade. And there was another separate study which basically sort of looked into the DNA testing of the sharks that were being traded in places like Hong Kong, and there was a ban on sort of catching silky sharks in the Atlantic. So what they've been doing recently has been testing to see if these sort of Atlantic silky sharks are still sort of being traded in Southeast Asia, and they found that actually no, they're not really.
Yes.
They did find a small amount, like 0.02 or 0.2%. Basically, they were testing sort of shark samples in and around Hong Kong, and 99.8% of the samples, I think, that they found were from Southeast Asia. So that means that sort of fishermen in sort of the Atlantic waters, where this ban on sort of silky sharks is in force, they're actually not trading with sort of Asian traders anymore. My dogs have suddenly started barking.
I'm gonna have to put credit to them now, aren't I? Now they've featured in the video. Great.
I don't know what they're barking at.
Well, they're happy of the results of the sharks, the silky sharks that have been in there.
They're celebrating.
They're like, yeah.
So basically they're saying that actually this ban has worked in sort of the Atlantic, because a lot of things are coming from sort of South America, where they'll catch the sharks there, they then transport them to to Southeast Asia, and then it all gets kind of muddled in with all the sort of rest of the sharks. But yeah, they're saying that actually things are starting to actually really work, and yeah, it's a matter of they keep intercepting sort of a few shipments, fewer and fewer now. So
Awesome.
if it's coming from South America, and they're just kind of like, ooh, no, actually this is illegal. There's a huge fine. So they're trying to, or they're stopping from doing it. And yeah, so things are looking good, at least for sort of silkies and thresher sharks. But now we just need to, convince the rest of the world to stop doing it.
Well, do it now, guys.
Easier said
Everyone in
than
the
done.
world, watch this episode of Daily Deco. There you go. Don't do it. Stop doing it.
Yeah, I
Stop
don't know
trading it.
I don't know how big or how popular we are in Southeast Asia.
Massive.
Who
They
knows?
love me
Yeah.
over there. Yeah.
That's our biggest demographic.
Yeah. I've done lots of obscure adverts for them over there. To do with killing shark fins.
It's like that episode of Friends where you got like blue lipstick for men. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, Ichiban for men.
That's it. I'd love to do.
Anyway.
I would love to be that sort of famous to do a crazy advert like that. That would be fantastic.
Oh,
That ain't
one
never
day.
gonna happen.
One day.
That ain't never gonna happen.
Oh, you never know. We got green screen. We can make it happen.
True.
That'll be next year's like Christmas special.
Oh,
we'll
no.
do like an Asian.
No, next year's Christmas special is another nautical themed cooking show.
Oh yeah.
That involves cooking.
I might do that this
time.
afternoon actually. Yeah. All right.
I thought-
What's something that involves turning my oven on?
Yeah. See, we're all waiting. You forget about that, Mark. We're still waiting for your brandy butter.
Yeah, I'll do that this afternoon. I think I've got everything.
You
Yeah,
better.
the final news story is still shark themed, but only because the boat, because of the boat's name, basically. So so this is. So there's a company called DWS who are asset managers, and they, instead of sort of buying end of the year gifts for all of its sort of clients and just I don't really know sort of how much money they end up sort of donating, but they instead of buying gifts and stuff, they donated sort of a lot of their I say a lot of their profits, what they were going to spend on their clients, and they donated it to Healthy Seas and ghost diving. So previously, ghost diving, obviously they're all volunteers, and they go out, they survey sort of different areas, they survey sort of ghost gear that's stuck under the water, they survey it, and then they extract it, and then they sort of get it out of the water. But because they're a charity and they're all sort of run by volunteers, obviously they've been using sort of people's boats, sort of just on the favour and all that kind of stuff. But actually, the money that was donated to them by DWS has actually gone towards buying their own boat. So they have a new boat, which is specifically for ghost diving. It's called the Mako, which is a type of shark, which is why it made it into the shark episode. And yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, with the donation, Healthy Seas was able to buy its first boat, which will be operated by ghost diving volunteers. So this is a what's it called, a Swift Cat. So it's a good-looking vessel. Decent size. It's got all sorts of mod cons on the inside, and yeah, it's a good looking ship. It's fancier than what I used to dive on.
Yep, and me.
Yeah.
Actually, my when I used to go diving, my yacht had 5 helicopters on the back of it. So.
I never understood that with luxury yachts, why you'd need more than one helicopter pad. It's like, well, how many helicopters do you own, and how many are coming and going at any one time that you need more than one?
I swear one of them doesn't.
Yeah.
I swear, like one of them has like at the back end of it opens up and you can like put your supercars in.
Oh yeah,
and then shut down.
The smaller, yeah.
Or a smaller boat inside
Yeah.
the big boat, and then that smaller boat is like a what do they call it? A Russian doll.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know,
I've seen one And so we used to moor up next to it, and we sort of asked the crew, and it's like, oh, so whose boat is that? And he's like, oh, it's some like sheikh's son or something, and it's like he it's always manned, so it always has staff sort of on board, but that's just in case he like on a whim just goes, yeah, I fancy going out on that sort of giant yacht that I also own. So he's never there, but they always they turn up and they're always kind of cleaning it. It looks pristine, but yeah, I've never seen it out of dock. So yeah,
underwater, people are released in the algae underneath it. They're like loser or whatever.
Until he gets in his private submarine and sort of has a quick survey over the underside.
That is the Christmas hot list for 2020. Your own personal submarine.
Yeah.
Like I said, this Friday, mate, if there's not one under my tree, I'm going to get a divorce.
You might be disappointed. I don't know. I still like my Lego one, which I don't think they make anymore. I'm quite happy that I got that.
Yeah, I think did I see that in Fennec the other day? Because I was like, I'm
really?
just going to get that, and I looked at it, and I was like, I think that's the one that Mark had. But yeah, like they only obviously do a certain amount of like making of them, don't they? So it's like quite a rarity. Is the first Lego movie, and you have that is it Benny, the spaceship guy? I can build a spaceship.
Oh yeah.
His spaceship that he builds is quite a rare Lego to have now, because they don't make it anymore.
Okay.
So yeah, if you've got it in pristine, don't open it.
Jeez.
I do that with Monopoly though. I buy Monopolies because they have a limited run, and I don't open them.
Oh, I can't remember the number, but someone sort of said the world record for the most Monopoly sets, and you're thinking like sort of 200 or something, but no, it's in like the thousands or something.
Oh, I don't. I have like 10 all wrapped up.
I'll see if I can find it quickly.
The best Monopoly set that I've got though is my Back to the Future one. Love it.
I saw one. There's a new one where you're almost like encouraged to lose.
Yeah.
And I really didn't understand that.
I asked.
I can't find.
I asked for Ghostbusters Monopoly for Christmas because I'm a big boy. Naturally, that won't get open. The only one I have open, talking about Monopoly, the only rubbish one I've got is the Walking Dead one. That's not that great. I thought it'd be quite cool, but it's not.
The most expensive Monopoly board game was an exclusive $2 million, so £1.4 million Monopoly set that was created by the jeweler Sydney Mobile.
Okay.
There you go. So the largest collection of Monopoly board game memorabilia consists of 2,249 items. That was achieved by.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of stuff that can be lost.
Well, there's just like a lot of like really obscure sort of sets and sort of localized ones that you kind of have to hunt down that aren't like readily available.
There's a Canterbury one I've been eyeing up.
Mm-hmm.
There's one with a credit card machine. I'm not too sure about that one yet. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that just seems a bit easy.
Yeah. I love these shows. It started as going to talk about sharks to Monopoly.
There's a Mandalorian one.
What?
Yeah.
Right,
Mandalorian, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I don't want Game of Thrones. No one cares about that anymore. How weird is that though? Like the most hyped TV show ever. It ended like a year ago, and no one talks about it anymore. It's so weird.
No. Yeah.
Just the amount of hype that was going on about Game of Thrones, and now doesn't matter. It's not like Harry Potter, where the movies ended like 10 years ago, and people still love them now. It doesn't have that longevity.
Well, they are bringing out the prequel to Game of Thrones, aren't they?
Yeah, I wouldn't bother.
Because HBO has like
it literally
nothing else.
Though. No one talks about it. No one's going to care about prequel. Or they will do if it's violent and they show some nudity.
I saw the sort of projected cast list, and that looked all right. Sort of who's going to be which character. So
let's watch The Witcher.
Yeah, although what's his face, Henry Cavill, he hurt his leg doing a stunt.
Don't.
So he's going to be hobbling along on a walking stick.
That's fine. But he could just be on his horse. Fight on his horse.
Roach.
Yeah, roach. Anyway, we should probably round this episode up because we're really going on a tangent here.
We're dragging it out a little bit, aren't we?
We don't need to drag it out.
I know. I don't know. It's just this is the only social interaction that we get nowadays. Other than this, it's just me typing. Yeah, it is quite fun to talk with another human being. Anyway, that is it for our sort of news stories. We're not going to go on Monopoly sets or anything else. If you have any interesting news stories leading up to Christmas, let us know. If you have any questions about scuba diving or hiking or snowboarding, Sean's quite sort of good at those kind of things. He's also quite good at advanced calculus. So if you have any complex equations sort of in your math homework, let him know down in the comments below.
I'm 100%.
He's a lot smarter than he looks.
I'm a numerate.
Let us know. They will be answered in the Q&A show, which will be on Thursday,
Christmas Eve. The Q&A
Eve. Okay.
Is going from a Friday because obviously I edited the Q&A. At least I think I did.
Yep.
I don't know. I was in a lot of pain. For people that didn't who watched last week's Q&A, the reason why I wasn't in there is because I had to have an emergency root canal.
Yeah.
So when I edited that, I hadn't had it yet, but yeah, I literally had a bag of frozen peas strapped to my face. That's why I wasn't in there, because I would be semi-unconscious, or I'd have to keep walking out just to punch myself in the face to numb.
Just getting really, really angry at the questions.
Yeah.
What do you want to know? Why is it so long?
I was like, I best not.
This is what your instructor should have taught you. Anyway, any questions, comments, queries, anything, let us know down in the comments below. Again, the links to all of the stories will be linked sort of down in the sort of description. So that'll be interesting to sort of read through those news stories. Yeah. Thank you for watching, everybody. And of course, safe diving.
Also, if you collect any Monopoly, what sets have you got? Let us know in the comments below.
Or scuba diving Lego.
Or scuba diving Lego. Yeah, if you know any cool Lego scuba diving sets, put links in the comments below. I'll accept them as long as they're not rude. Man. Stay classy, scuba divers. Bye. Oh my God.